Shortly following the death of the Bengali king Shashank, his kingdom collapsed under the immense weight of enemy forces from the Empire of Kannauj and the Kamrup kingdom. The collapse of the Ghorid kingdom, which had once united the lands of Bengal, threw the Bengali people into a chaotic dark age known as the Matsya Nyaya.
The Matsya Nyaya, otherwise known as the period of fish justice, prevailed over the next 100 years. As under the law of fishes, where the larger fish would consume the smaller fish, so too would the stronger devour the weaker, in this new Bengal largely devoid of law and order.
The times were harsh, and Bengal, having been toyed by foreign powers, had no shortage of people who were desperate or cruel. The people grew hardened hearts, and their souls chilled cold. Long gone were the glorious days of honour and justice.
The final sorry vestiges of Bengali statehood lingered around Gaur in the northwest and Vanga in the southern coast. The glorious kingdom of Gaur had been reduced to vassal states, petty kingdoms and chiefdoms, all of which were ill-equipped to deal with invasions and the sporadic plague of anarchy in the backdrop.
It is in these times that a Buddhist family took to living on the outskirts of a forest, in the lush rural lands of Varendra. Vapyata and his father, Dayatavishnu, patiently await the arrival of their family's next generation. Screamed the cries of a baby boy to the delight of Vapyata and Dayatavishnu. Famed as a wise man of great intellect, Dayatavishnu inspects the boy. According to the account of Taranatha, a 16th century Tibetan Buddhist scholar, the boy was found to have auspicious signs.
It is said that the one who carries the auspicious signs has only two paths laid ahead of him, one of a magnificent king of material might and the other of a fully awakened Buddha for whom the veil of the world is drawn back.
The boy's father and grandfather both take an interest in the boy and impart in him the knowledge they gain through life. Vapyata, having the career of a warrior, teaches his son the martial path of combat and strategy. On the other hand, Dayatavishnu imparts his scholarly wisdom and religious knowledge onto the boy.
Despite the influences of his father and grandfather, it is ultimately up to the boy to decide what is to become of him. He looks to the world around him.
Men clash swords in the name of greed and power. Kings no longer require false moral pretenses to wage wars. Yet, one king stands more ambitious than the rest. Yashovarman, believed by some to be an incarnation of the Hindu god Vishnu, rules over the kingdom of Kannauj. With a powerful army at his disposal, he conquers large swathes of India before arriving at the doorsteps of Gaur. Gaur, still the cultural heartland of Bengal, stands as a formidable city in the way of Yashovarman's conquests over Bengali lands. The glorious past of the Ghorid kingdom remains in the national consciousness of the Bengali people. Whatever happens to Gaur, the impact will be felt by Bengalis throughout the northeastern part of the Indian subcontinent. The new king of Gaur calls the leaders of Bengal and Magad into an alliance against Yashovarman. He calls upon his people to protect their homeland and the honor of Gaur. Reinforced by forces from Bengal and Magad, the king of Gaur leads an alliance in the impending defensive battle to halt Yashovarman's advances and preserve the freedoms of their respective peoples. Though the alliance has the same noble reasons to fight, they do not share the same bravery. When the news of Yashovarman's overwhelming forces reaches the alliance, many kings lose all hope and flee with their men in an attempt to preserve their own lives. The king of Gaur marches on, holding on to faith that despite the odds, he may be able to defeat Yashovarman and preserve the independence of Bengal. His men stand bravely with him. The cowardly kings look back on the battlefield with a guilt-festered heart. The king of Gaur faces Yashovarman on the battlefield and his men persevere in the onslaught. Though the battle is in Yashovarman's favor, the acts of the king of Gaur and his men inspire his allies to join the battle and take back their pride. The fighting is fierce and heavy casualties are sustained by both sides. Victory is given to the strongest and does not care for whose fight was just. The battle ends in Yashovarman's favor as he strikes down the king of Gaur. The lands of Bengal are now open to him for the taking.
Yashovarman takes the killing of the king of Gaur as his primary achievement. He instructs his court poet, Vakpati Raja, to write an epic poem about his exploits. Godavaho, translating to Slaying of the King of Gaur, is chosen as the title of this poem.
Yashovarman continues the momentum of his conquests to the southern coast of Bengal. There, he faces the king of Vanga and his mighty force of elephants. The warriors of Vanga fight bravely. Yet, Yashovarman's army, nimble and many, outmaneuvers the king of Vanga and forces him into a defeat. Bolstered by his successes, Yashovarman makes the people of Vanga bow to him in submission. In the Godavaho, it is said that their faces grew pale as they were unaccustomed to such an act. Yashovarman solidifies his rule with the humiliation of the people of Vanga. Upon the conclusion of his expeditions, Yashovarman faces no retribution for the blood he had spilt, nor the people he had oppressed. Instead, he is rewarded with a harem of women, which include the wives of his fallen enemies. The Godavaho, which was written to glorify Yashovarman, describes how tears stream down the cheeks of some of these women as they are made to service the king out of fear. It is in these times of immense moral depravity that great spiritual revivalists emerge to guide the people out of darkness and change the course of history. The boy chooses to dedicate his life to religious pursuits and become a devotee of Chundi. Chundi is a female Buddhist deity who is believed to provide her adherents an efficient access to Buddhahood, which is said to be the primary objective of Buddhism. Once a person has become a Buddha, they are imbued with a full awakening and a purified mind, free from worldly attachments and suffering. A Buddha is believed to be a supreme guide through which others may also attain enlightenment. Chundi is said to facilitate this by providing her adherents blessings including the purification of negative karma and encouragement to perform spiritual practices. The boy spends his best years in the service of Chundi and spreading his Vajrayana school of Buddhist thought. He becomes known far and wide for his devotion, good character, and teachings. As he travels through the lawless lands of Bengal, the man keeps with himself a wooden club, which is a weapon said to be preferred by Chundi. His childhood training has equipped him to defend himself against bandits and robbers, as he invites people to adopt higher ideals. The man familiarizes himself with the roots, rivers, and terrain of the lands once ruled by the mighty Shashank. In his travels, the man is both a teacher and a learner. The man enriches his understanding of Bengal, its history and current events, while he departs his religious teachings. He is exposed to news from all corners of Bengal. Trouble brews from the northwest of India, in the pristine mountainous snowy lands of Kashmir. Emperor Lalitaditya of the Kakota Empire is bent to conquer the world and seize glory. Many contemporaries of Lalitaditya's time believe him to work miracles and the gods to cater to his every word. A narration has it that a messenger from the god Indra had to be sent down to Lalitaditya for him to stop sending the gods menial requests, such as that for off-season fruit. Whatever powers Lalitaditya may have, it is clear that none is able to withstand his assaults. Lalitaditya's army sweeps through northern India, which inevitably draws him into a conflict with Yashovarman. The two North Indian titans lock into a war for supremacy. In the interim, the people of Gaur are able to realize their national aspirations again, whilst Yashovarman's armies are distracted by Lalitaditya. A new king of Gaur takes power. Following a protracted war, Lalitaditya proves to be the stronger of the two and subjugates Yashovarman into vassalage. To assert his overlordship over Yashovarman's realms, Lalitaditya leaves on an expedition with his armies across northern India. Upon returning to Kashmir, Lalitaditya reflects on the relative independence of Gaur and its impenetrable walls. Though the king of Gaur indicated nominal submission to Lalitaditya, Lalitaditya could not rest easy knowing that Gaur could turn against him at any moment. His foothold over Bengal would be threatened by any adverse move that the king of Gaur may wish to make. Lalitaditya needs Gaur, its riches and its power, under his full control. Lalitaditya's messenger arrives before the king of Gaur. He puts forward his emperor's message that Lalitaditya wishes to meet with the king of Gaur in Kashmir. To address any concerns that the king of Gaur may have had regarding his safety in Kashmir, Lalitaditya's messenger brings out the idol of Vishnu and provides that Lalitaditya has sworn by that image that no harm would come to the king of Gaur. The king of Gaur agrees to go. At a place called Trigrami, the king of Gaur finds himself isolated and surrounded by a band of assassins. It appears that Lalitaditya had lied about his meeting. Instead, he opted to murder and dispose of the king of Gaur in an attempt to neutralize any threat that Gaur may pose to Lalitaditya's empire in the future. The king of Gaur breathes his last as blades pierce through his flesh. Lalitaditya's betrayal sends shockwaves of rage and resentment throughout Bengal. The people had suffered enough humiliation and shame. The ease at which even the life of a Bengal king could be extinguished jolts the people into an awakening. It was time for Bengali blood to mean something again, to be worth more than water which washes the ground. A group of Bengalis depart Gaur for Kashmir to non-violently protest their grievances. They arrive in Kashmir under the pretext of making pilgrimage to the temple of the Hindu goddess Sarada. However, their intentions are to break the idol of Vishnu by which Lalitaditya made his promise to the king of Gaur that no harm would come to him. The group of Bengalis make their way to the temple of Vishnu, which arouses suspicion amongst the attendant priests. The priests close the gate, but are unable to stop the group. They break into the temple and destroy the idol of Vishnu into scattered particles. Though they mistakenly break a different idol to the one Lalitaditya had sworn his false oath upon, the symbolic gesture is clear. The Bengalis will no longer stay silent at oppression and betrayal. Guards enter the temple and they mercilessly cut down the group of Bengalis. The blood spilt that day would send a message to all that Bengal still retained people who were willing to lay down their lives for the sake of justice. About 400 years later, it would be written by a Kashmiri historian in the Raja Tarangini that to this day, even the temple of Vishnu is seen empty, whereas the whole world is filled with the fame of the Gauda heroes. It appeared that the issue with the world around the man was not that there were no good people, but that there was none around to defend the good people who existed. The man retreats to the temple of Arya to reflect on the next steps to take for his future and the future of Bengal. Though none had been able to defend Bengali lands against foreign oppressors in the past 100 years, perhaps he could offer his services and come to the task. May I obtain a kingdom, he prays.
The man moves east to the lands of Vanga, where the people discuss who would be the next to assume the throne. Kingship over Vanga, although prestigious, was not a highly sought-after position during this era. All the previous kings had their lives and reigns cut short, for the dangers that came with this position were not light.
Speaking to the people of Vanga, the man nominates himself as someone suitable to assume the role of king. The people rejoice at the man's proclamation. They know that the man had spent his life in spiritual service and did not wish to become king for his own personal gain. The nobles of Vanga also agree with the people that if anyone was to bring stability to Vanga, it would be the wise yet daring person who rules with fairness. Even if this man was to become a tyrant, his reign would likely be one which is short, as was the case with those who came before him. With only a few worthy candidates willing to traverse the dangers of kingship in Vanga, the man is elected as king of Vanga by the people. Taranata provides an interesting account of the man's first night as king. Taranata introduces the character of a Nagini, who is a creature capable of shape-shifting from a serpent to a human. This Nagini is said to have been one of the queens of the previous kings, with a thirst for blood of the kings who came after. The Nagini came into the man's room, though it appears that on this occasion, the king was awake, prepared and armed. The king hits the Nagini with his club, immediately killing her. Taranata's story may be interpreted as a metaphor, revealing that where the previous kings had failed to resist temptations and guard against danger, this king succeeded through the strength of his spirit and body. The people realized that this was a king who would live up to his title. The people name him Gopala, the selfless protector of his people. Gopala commences a nation-building project of epic proportion. He forges the kingdom of Vanga into a formidable and respectable sovereign political entity within the lands of Bengal. With his newfound power and popularity, Gopala sends out envoys and armies throughout Bengal with a call for unification. Bengalis are not unfamiliar with Gopala's name, teachings, and evident dedication to his people. The region of Bengal had patiently hungered for an effective and unified state since the days of Shashank. The people had grown tired of invasions and the turmoil brought by weak leaders. The choice is clear for the sensible. To join Gopala's kingdom is an opportunity for Bengalis to become prosperous together. To stay independent is to await doom and destruction. As an effective statesman, Gopala unifies Bengal and incorporates the former territories of Shashank into his kingdom. Gopala's domains include his home province of Virendra, the Bengali heartland of Gaur, the fertile lands of Vanga, and a portion of the plains of Magad. Gopala fortifies the new borders of his kingdom to deter its neighbors from attacking. This appears to have worked, as no records indicate that Yashovarman or Lalitaditya ever attacked Gopala's kingdom, even though his kingdom had taken back Bengali lands that were conquered by the two monarchs. Neither did Gopala seem inclined to exact vengeance against Yashovarman or Lalitaditya for their aggression against Bengal and the killing of its kings. Gopala spends his time governing the unified Bengali kingdom and ensuring that no more Bengalis lose their life in vain. Not only does Gopala grow his kingdom materially, but he also continues his mission to spiritually uplift the masses. He heavily patronizes Buddhism throughout his lands and erects countless monasteries. He commissions one of the monasteries to be built on a grander scale than all others, Odantapuri, which is to be the center of learning and religious practice for Buddhist monks, teachers, and students. The grandeur and magnificence of Odantapuri places it in competition with the Grand Monastery of Nalanda, which was built under the Gupta Empire during the Golden Age of India. By building Odantapuri, Gopala makes a statement that he intends for his kingdom to overshadow those that came before. It is said that at its height, Odantapuri regularly housed approximately 1,000 monks belonging to both Hinayana and Mahayana schools of Buddhism, whilst it occasionally hosted congregations of up to 12,000 monks. As a traveling religious teacher, Gopala was less in need of a feminine counterpart. However, with a kingdom on his shoulders, Gopala requires a queen as a source of support and to produce an heir to carry on his legacy. Gopala chooses to marry Deda Devi, the daughter of another king. Deda Devi gives birth to their son, Dharmapala. Gopala raises Dharmapala with particular care, so that he could one day inherit the kingdom as a capable leader and ensure it does not collapse as it did after the death of Shashank. Dharmapala learns all that he could from his father, not only to rule as a king like his father did, but to perhaps surpass his father and establish the first Bengal Empire. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this fun map of Bangladesh in the background, please do buy it from the link in the description, as it will help our channel grow. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and share, as it will help us immensely. And if you want to go the extra step, please do support us through our Patreon. Catch you all in our next video.